Good morning. And welcome to First Parish in Brookline. We are a welcoming Unitarian Universalist congregation, open and affirming to all people. Whoever you are, whatever your gifts or abilities may be, however you identify your gender or sexual orientation, wherever your life and faith journey has taken you, you are welcome here. After the service, please join us for coffee hour through the door to the Lion Chapel. And if you pick up one of the striped mugs, like this here, everyone will know that you have a particular interest in sharing conversation with others today. This afternoon at 3 p.m., we will be celebrating the installation of Reverend Lisa Perry Wood as our 16th settled minister. All are welcome. Yes. All are welcome to join us for the service and the reception that follows. Welcome to one and all.
Left me a creation. Oh, it was Oliver. Okay. Thanks, Oliver. Our call to worship this morning are words from Andy Pakala, friend and colleague of mine from Lexington. We arrive together here. We arrive together here, travelers on life's journey, seekers of meaning, of love, of healing, of justice, of truth. The journey is long, and joy and woe accompanying us at every step. None is born that does not die. None feels pleasure that does not also feel pain. The tear has not yet dried on the cheek, but the lips curve sweetly in a smile. Numerous are our origins, our paths, and our destinations, and yet happily our ways have joined together here today. Spirit of life, source of love, may our joining be a blessing. May it bring comfort to those who are in pain. May it bring hope to those who despair. May it bring peace to those who tremble in fear. May it bring wisdom and guidance for our journeys. And though this joining may be just for a moment in time, this moment is all we can be certain of. May we embrace this and every instant of our lives. Come, my friends, come into this beloved and sacred space and let us worship together. And now please rise as you are willing and able. Join in singing our opening hymn, number 402. From you I receive, to you I give.
At this time, I'd like to invite Lisa Underhill and Michael Monroe to come forward to light the chalice. symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith of the world over. As they light the chalice, please join me in our unison affirmation printed in your order of service, in English and then in Spanish. We give ourselves one and to another, covenanting to walk together as a congregation, promising faithfully to watch over one another and to delight for love to abide in our midst. Nos entregamos y nos comprometemos a caminar juntos como congregación, prometiendo con mucha fe cuidarnos mutuamente y deleitarnos en el amor que permanecerá entre nosotros. Each week, we also light 2 candles of peace and hope, each candle representing a different place on earth that we want to lift up and remember this morning as a sacred encounter with the world. Today, we remember 2 places that we especially hold close in this service and through the week ahead. After each candle is lit, we will speak the words for peace in English, Arabic, and Hebrew. Peace, salam, shalom. Our first candle is lit for El Salvador, a country with one of the highest murder rates in the world because of gang violence, forcing its citizens to flee, many of them fleeing to the U.S. border. Peace, salam, shalom. On a more hopeful note, our second candle is lit for the whole world as we celebrate World Wildlife Day today. The United Nations General Assembly proclaimed March 3rd of every year as a day to celebrate the world's plants and animals while raising awareness of issues that impact wildlife. Peace, salam, shalom.
Now it's the time for all ages, so for those of you who are here, come on up. Good morning. Good morning. All right. Who in class is in Trailblazers? Trailblazers. Who's in the Trailblazers class? Who is in the 4th or the 5th grade? All right. Okay. So, for the rest of you, the Trailblazers class, at the end of class, they do something called Passing the Peace. Every week when they're together. Would anyone like to explain that to us? Totally. Go.
You stand in a circle, and basically you all hold hands, and say I start with my left hand, I squeeze, and then I pass the piece, then he squeezes, and we go all the way around until we come back.
The idea is that we all join together in a circle and we stand holding hands. So we're all one big circle, right? And through that circle, we send a little signal, also like a pulse of the hand, all the way around till it comes back together, okay? So this month in church, we're going to be talking about all the ways in which we show our love and care for this community, okay? So all the ways that we participate. And so the theme for the month is called commitment, okay? And so every Sunday we're going to talk about some part of how we are committed to this church. What everyone else is going to talk about today when they stay in church is what it means to join a community, all right, or what it means to become a member. We don't talk to you all about becoming members because it's something we generally think of adults doing, right? But you all are really important members of this community. So I wanted to talk to you about what it means to be a part of a community, this community, okay? Now, when I was growing up, we did some version of this when I was in youth group, okay? Some version of passing the peace. But there was something that we added that was really important, okay? And that was like what we did with our hands, okay? So when you hold hands here, can you hold my hand? All right, so see here, like sometimes when you're holding hands, someone's hand is on the bottom and someone's hand is on the top. Does that make sense? Yeah, when you hold hands? Okay. So when I was in youth group, we did this thing where one hand faced up, okay, like this. Take one hand so that you see the palm, right? Okay. And then the other hand, keep this hand up, faces down so that you can see the back of your hand. Okay, you see that? Okay. Now, then think about putting your hands down, like as if you were going to hold someone's hand. All right. So here's why we did this. The idea here is that the hand facing up is a hand that can receive things, right? When your hand is open like this, you're receiving things. So if I was going to like give you something, I would place it in a hand that was open like this. The hand that faces like this is a hand that gives things, right? Because you can't grab something with the back of your hand, right? You can't grab something like this, right? You would drop it. The idea is that when we're in a community, when we circle up, sometimes we give things and sometimes we receive things. That you need both of those things. You have to give things to be in a community and you receive things to be in a community. You have to do both. So what are some of the things that we get? Like what are things that you experience that is given to you when you're here? Thoughts? Hugs, okay, we get hugs. You can also give hugs though too, right? So we receive hugs, but we can also give hugs. Hugs are an expression of like love and care or concern, right? So those are how we experience those things. What else do we get? Do you get other things when you're here? Food. Yes. We mostly receive food, right? Like when we're here, food is normally something that we receive. Yeah. Has anyone ever made food to bring to church? Yes, okay. So we can also give food, right? Other things that we get. Leighton, what were you saying? Never mind, okay. There are other things that we learn when we're here, right? So people teach us things. That's a thing that we receive. New information, new experiences. Those are things that we receive. And so the opposite is you all give us things too. You give us your perspectives, which is like how you see the world. A perspective is how you see or experience the world. You tell us about your lives. You tell us about what's going on in your world, right? Those are things that we receive from all of you. So when we join a community, this community or any community, we hope that we give as much as we get from a community. And so that's what joining is about. Joining and being a member of a place is about saying, hey, we really love this place. We love the things that we get from this place, and we love it so much that we're going to give that place things back, or those people things back. That we love being in a place so much, that we love being with people so much, that we give back to that place as well. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to stand up, and we're going to make a little circle, and we're going to pass the peace before we get sung out, okay? And I want you to remember when you grab one hand, palm up, one hand, palm down, okay? Draw the circle wider, everyone. Not everyone is
And everybody in.
okay. You sure? All right. So I'm going to start. I'm going to start passing the peace, okay? So just wait for your turn, and I'll tell Now we're going to head out to class as the church starts to sing us out, okay?
This morning, I've asked Alice Mark and Steve Pratt Otto, representing the parish board, to lead the commissioning of the Ministerial Formation Committee. So, Alice and Steve? Oh, you need the mic. Grab the mic.
Each new UU minister follows a 3-year path to final fellowship, demonstrating proficiency in 8 areas of ministry: counseling and pastoral care, practical arts, organizational ministry, personal and professional growth, teaching, worship, denominational activities, and prophetic outreach. To support this process, each minister chooses a formation committee of lay congregation members to provide feedback, support, and guidance.
This morning, we acknowledge Reverend Lisa's Ministerial Formation Committee, their commitment, and the mantle they assume with this ceremony of commissioning. Will the members please come forward as their names are called? Nathan Freitas, Martha Leader. Please come forward as your name is called. Susan Larrabee, I just saw him. Kristen McIntyre and Paul McLean. I totally see them. I totally see them all.
Exactly. Members of the Formation Committee, will you put aside personal agendas and alliances, looking always to the good of the entire congregation in supporting our new minister? Will you follow UUA guidelines, protecting the integrity and honoring the ethics of our minister? Will you treat your fellow committee members with respect and listen to them with an open heart and mind? Will you look to your own self-care as you do this important work so you can bring your best selves to the task at hand? If so, say, I will.
Good people of this congregation, will you honor the work of the Formation Committee, respecting the uniquely confidential nature of their work, accepting answers about the process without pressuring them for information that cannot be shared? Will you participate in helping the Formation Committee in its work to develop our ministers' strengths? If you have ideas about our ministers' formation, will you take these directly to the committee to support their process? Most importantly, will you put your trust in this Formation Committee and have faith in their work? If so, say, we will.
With these promises made, we send you forth as Reverend Lisa's Ministerial Formation Committee with our trust and our good wishes to do this important work. Encourage, guide, and reflect with our minister with our blessings and support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, please join me in the spirit of prayer, followed by silent meditation. After I finish the prayer, I will sound the bell and we will be silent for a period of time, and then I'll sound it again to end. Spirit of life and love, Spirit of all names and no name, we ask your blessing on this congregation today as we embark on our journey of shared ministry together, a journey of faith and freedom. May we have the strength to support each other in times of need, courage to face the challenges ahead, and deepening love to sustain us in every endeavor. May we hold fast to all that is true, endeavoring to live out together our UU values and principles. And may all that we do be done with love, in the spirit of service, and in the name of justice. All this we ask in the name of all that is holy, all that is good, and all that binds us together in love. May it be so. Amen. Blessed be.
I see the
theme for this month is commitment. Each year in our church calendar, March is Stewardship Month, the time of year when we talk about our commitment to this place, to this congregation, to our shared ministries of love, service, and justice. Each Sunday in March, we'll hear a testimonial from a member of the congregation reflecting on what First Parish means to them. In a moment, you'll hear today's testimonial from Alice Mark, our parish board clerk and co-chair of this year's Canvas, along with Steve Pratado. It takes a team to do this important work, and I want to introduce this year's Canvas team. Please stand if you are present. Nathan Freitas, Dave Demergen, Michelle David, Carol Spitzer, Janet Britcher, Margie Beal, Laura Hatfield, Laura Walters, Jim Womack, Jeff Caddo, Bob Williamson, Midge Wilkie, Ellen Blaney, Van Davis, Sheila Hussey, David Cave, Carla Bear, Clint Richmond, Ray Wellbaum, Charles Sandmel, Jean and Keith Thompson Grove, Ben Gibbons, Sue Andrews, and of course, Alice and Steve. Our First Parish Board, yeah, you could give them a hand. You could be seated, thanks. Our First Parish Board, Finance Committee, and other volunteers are leading our Canvas this year. Soon, one of these fine folks will be calling you to ask you about your annual pledge. They're eager to hear your stories, happy to listen to what you love about First Parish and the vision you have for deepening our shared ministry here. Please welcome these conversations in the spirit of beloved community. Together, we can share both what we love and what we have to offer. Thank you, and welcome, Alice.
I've always called myself a Unitarian by convenience. In summer of 2010, my husband Coleman and our kids Rachel and Coley moved down the street, and we came to a summer service that took place in Fellowship Hall. Like any lay-led service, it took on a flavor all its own. In the middle, we were asked to look into a stranger's eyes for 3 minutes. 3 whole minutes. My husband quickly rounded up the kids and took them to the bathroom, and they hid. So there I was, eye-locking with Liz Scully for what seemed like an eternity. At the end of the service, Liz turned to me and said, "Don't worry, it's not always like this. Come back in September." So we did, and we've been coming ever since. The first couple of years, we dipped our toes in. We sat in the pews, we listened to the beautiful music and the sermon, we sent our kids to RE, and we wondered, why didn't we feel like this church was home yet? Then we started wading a little bit further in. We volunteered to teach RE, we went to Cape Cod Sea Camps, we signed the book, we made a pledge. And of course, the more you do, the more you do. Soon we were on committees. My husband was on worship, then I was on RE, now I'm on the parish board, then I was the clerk, then I was leading the Canvas. Here I am again for the 3rd time. But now I look around the congregation, and instead of strangers, I see family. I see the committee members who taught me everything I know about moral leadership. Seriously, you do not need to go to business school to get a leadership education. You just need to serve on the parish board. I see parents with whom I'm raising my children in a place where we're really trying to live into our values. I see people who have supported me through hard times, and I hope that I have supported them. I see a place where my oldest daughter is learning about healthy relationships and sex, and a sanctuary where someday maybe she'll get married. So, what does this all have to do with the pledge? Here's the thing about giving to First Parish. As I've learned in our almost 10 years here at church, the church is us. I've been here for 5 ministers, 3 RE directors, 2 administrators, and I think about 4 janitors. But the church is us, it's the congregation. All that we have here, the music, the worship, the staff, the programs, they're supported by only us, the people in this room. There's no alumni network. There's no group of dedicated radio listeners buying flowers on Valentine's Day. There's no national movement to support First Parish in Brookline.
There are about 160 families who are making this community what it is. The church is us. It's only us. It's really only us. It takes our time, our love, our commitment to make it the powerful place in our lives that it can be. So when you get the pledge mailing this month, read it. When the pledge team calls you, answer the phone. When you see us at coffee hour, come and talk to us. Every gift is appreciated. Every gift. Every gift shows that you are part of this church family. Every gift shows that you are now us.
The offering will now be gratefully received. If you are visiting First Parish for the first time today, please feel free to let the basket pass you by. We are so glad to have you with us.
For all that you have given and for all that we have received, we say thank you.
Today is obviously a very exciting day for many of us here at First Parish because of the installation service this afternoon. But it's also a very sad day for many of us in the choir because this is the last day of our baritone section leader, Josh Dixon's time with us here. He's been with us for about a little over 3 years, and has been absolutely wonderful presence within the choir as a leader, as a singer, and just as a wonderful human being. And so he's moving on to do amazing things, and we really wish him the best, and we'll truly miss him. Thank you for your time here, Josh.
Please join me for the responsive reading. I'll read the regular font and you can read the italics. We arrive out of many singular rooms, walking over the branching streets.
We've come to be assured that brothers and sisters surround us to restore their images on our eyes.
We enlarge our voices in common speaking and singing. Our eyes reclaim the remembered faces. Their voices stir the surrounding air.
The warmth of their hands assures us, and the gladness of our spoken names.
This is the reason of cities, of homes, of assemblies in the houses of worship.
It is good to be with one another.
Please rise as you are willing or able, and let us join our voices in the next hymn, number 175, We Celebrate the Web of Life.
All this month, we'll talk in various ways about our commitment to love, support, and strengthen our ties to this beloved community. We'll talk about the benefits and obligations, the joys and concerns of supporting what has been called the faith behind freedom. Today, we're talking about joining. Specifically about joining and becoming a member of a church community like First Parish. That made me wonder, what is it that moves us to join anything? A class, a group, an organization, a club, a political party, or a religious organization for that matter? It's about community, of course, about being with like-minded and like-hearted people. For some of us, It's about having a place for our family to be together on Sunday mornings. And for some, it may be about being part of bigger ideas that you believe in. I think back to my early years at St. Paul's Church in Dedham, where church was a family and neighborhood affair. Most of my mother's family, most of my aunts, uncles, and cousins showed up there every week, with many of our neighbors from around town. My Sunday school teachers were my parents and their close friends, and I went to school with many of the same kids who attended Sunday school. When anything in our community happened, when tragedy struck, like the time a teenager was hit by a car, or when my grandmother died, or times of joy, like when my baby brother was born, any kind of big event in our lives, it showed up in that church. It's no wonder that I stayed connected to that place, that community, through marriage and having children of my own, until the distance between Dedham and Lexington just became too far. When I looked for a church closer to home, I was drawn to my local UU church for its progressive values and all I had learned about UU religious education. I wanted my children to learn about other religions, not dogma, to have a place to celebrate and learn together. It turned out that my children were happy. They enjoyed their classes. I found friends, like-minded and like-hearted. I joined the choir, taught RE, helped develop adult programs, sat on committees, but I never joined the church. I never became a member. It didn't even occur to me. I think it didn't occur to me because no one asked. No one invited me. No one explained to me what the benefits might be. I didn't know that membership really mattered. Or more specifically, that me becoming a member mattered. And I think that may be true for many of us. Take a moment to think about what brought you here. Was it a life event? A place to connect? For your children? For music? For tradition? For social justice? Maybe you came to an event or a workshop and then decided to try coming to a worship service. I'm reminded of the words of our responsive reading. We arrive out of many singular rooms, walking over the branching streets. We enlarge our voices in common speaking and singing. Our eyes reclaim the remembered faces, their voices stir the surrounding air. This is the reason of cities, of homes, of assemblies in the houses of worship. What made you come back? Why did you stay? We make friends. Maybe we like to sing. We join the choir, join a committee. Perhaps we felt held and heard in hard times, felt a part of something. And it could be that now we look forward to seasonal events, that our children are happy here, that we are regularly moved by a sermon, the music, a story or ritual, and that's what keeps us coming back. Some of you may remember that in one of my first sermons here last May, I talked about how we let people know who we are as a church, and I shared some church signs I had come across. Today I was thinking about how we communicate who we are in other ways, like our newsletter. I'm sure some people were intrigued when they came across announcements like these. Potluck supper at 5 p.m. This is the wrong one. What happened? Is this it? Oh, okay. Potluck supper at 5 p.m., prayer and medication to follow. Or, the church will host an evening of fine dining, entertainment, and gracious hostility. We might have been drawn here by interesting activities like, the ladies of the church have cast off clothing of every kind. They may be seen in the basement on Friday afternoon.
Or maybe we came for a group. The low self-esteem group will meet Thursday at 7 p.m. Please use the back door. Or maybe we first came for a wedding or other event. Irving Benson and Jessie Carter were married on February 24th in the church. So ends a friendship that began in their school days. And finally, I came across this announcement in the spirit of Canvas. The associate minister unveiled the church's new tithing campaign slogan last Sunday. I upped my pledge. Up yours. These are real. These are real. We can say a lot about who we are without even intending to. That's why we have good proofreaders. In the end, though, why would we join? It might be just to be part of something bigger, to have a place that belongs to us, that feels like it's ours. We want to support and sustain that place, to deepen our commitment, to be on the inside with others who feel the same way. As Sheila Hussey's family would say, to keep it going. This is the way our denomination has grown and flourished, with people who feel this way. Sometimes it has been grown by a congregation like this one, calling a minister to work alongside them. And sometimes it has been a minister who led the way to growth. Reverend A. Powell Davies was one such a man. Davies was said to have been a preacher of great power and eloquence. A Methodist minister, he emigrated to the United States from Great Britain in 1928. He sought greater theological freedom and became a Unitarian minister in 1933. He first served in Summit, New Jersey, before being called to the Venerable All Souls Unitarian Church in Washington, D.C. in 1944. Davies quickly made a name for himself. Though most of his sermons were pastoral, his preaching often stirred up controversy. He supported family planning, lobbied for civilian control of U.S. nuclear technology, opposed racial segregation, and condemned both communism and Senator McCarthy's red baiting. He said, "I am what is called a controversial person." He told the meeting of Unitarians, the annual meeting of Unitarians in Boston in 1953, that is, he said, one who does not keep quiet in the presence of evil. Davies helped draft The Faith Behind Freedom, a wartime statement the Unitarian Association adopted in 1943, which proclaimed, "Our Unitarian purpose is to build a world community of free and equal men, dedicated to equality of human rights and obligations, and governed by the laws that free men make. We seek complete and universal freedom." We could be forerunners of a church, Davies said, which includes the whole human community on the basis of universal fellowship and universal freedom. It seems to me that whether we are moved by lofty ideals of universal fellowship and freedom, or simply want a place to be with others on a Sunday morning, whether we came looking for religious education for our children, companionship for ourselves, comfort in difficult times, or moments of spiritual uplifting, even if we were just looking for a free cup of coffee, no matter what the reason, what matters is that we are here. And all of those things are found in this place, all of that and so much more. I'm going to end the way I began, with the words of my colleague and friend, Andy Pakula. Numerous are our origins, our paths, and our destinations, and yet happily our ways have joined together here today. Spirit of life, source of love, may our joining be a blessing. May it bring comfort to those who are in pain. May it bring hope to those who despair. May it bring peace to those who tremble in fear. May it bring wisdom and guidance for our journeys. And though this joining may be for just a moment of time, the moment is all we can ever be certain of. May we embrace this and every instant of our lives. May it be so. Amen, and blessed be. And now, Please join in singing our closing hymn. Number 175. Oh, sorry, no, we just sang that one. Our closing hymn, one of my favorites, Wake Now My Senses.
Please join me in our unison affirmation as Reverend Lisa extinguishes the chalice. We extinguish the flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry with us and offer as gifts unto the world.
Dear friends, we join hands each week at the end of our service as a visible sign of our connection to each other. May we carry that connection with us every day as we walk into the world. May your lives be a blessing to all those you meet, and may you yourselves be blessed. Amen.